Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, a lack of catfish to process may cause some layoffs at Mississippi processing plants.
In southern gardening, shrubs and trees are budding, but it's not too late to prune. We'll have some tips.
In the markets this week, a correction for cotton futures. Dr. O.A. Cleveland discusses what to expect next month, while catfish prices rise as processing takes a dip.
In the feature segment, 2 news stories for you today. We'll have highlights of the 2011 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions in Jackson. It's also not too late to plant a native tree. In Lamar County, even the second graders are doing it.
And one of the best projects that we've been involved in is the Teaching Tree Project. And this has given our students an opportunity to learn about trees and to plant a tree, to have a tree that's their own for them to take care of. We integrate this in our math activities. We measure the tree, we chart its growth, we draw pictures for art.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Amy Taylor. Today, employees of catfish processing plants in Alabama and Mississippi they may see layoffs due to a lack of catfish.
Amy, the problem is due to a lack of available catfish. In Mississippi alone, catfish pond acreage has dropped 40% in the last 9 years as farmers have received low prices and paid high feed costs. The Greenwood Commonwealth newspaper reports this means there is more processing plant capacity than catfish to fill it. Catfish sales usually peak this time of year due to the season of Lent prior to Easter. Heartland Catfish of Itta-Bena, Mississippi, the nation's largest processor, says that some of its 750 employees will be either laid off or see their hours reduced. America's Catch also said it anticipates shorter hours until new catfish from this year's feeding season begins to be available in June.
Does pruning the landscape seem to be a lot of work? In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman will show us some simple pruning tips to keep your landscape looking good.
One question that comes up most often this time of year is how to prune properly. Pruning helps to maintain a plant's shape and size, rejuvenates, and maintains good plant health. Knockout roses, a popular Mississippi medallion winner, need to be pruned early each spring. Remove all weak and damaged canes. Prune the remaining strong canes by about 50%. Cutting the canes at a 45-degree angle facing out eliminates the cane holding water. Crepe myrtles need to be pruned to keep them looking good, but I'm not talking about crepe murder, which is cutting the stems off at the same point year after year, resulting in the familiar knobby ends. Remove the seed heads and prune off about 12 to 18 inches down the stem. Remove stems growing on the inside of the canopy and any suckers from the trunk base. Hollies and boxwood can be pruned as desired, as well as wax myrtle. A formal or natural look is up to you. Grasses like this miscanthus should have the old growth removed to make room for the new growth. And spring flowering shrubs like azaleas should be pruned after they have finished flowering later in the spring. To keep your landscape looking good, be sure to remove and throw away all of the pruned material. Though this looks like a lot of work, pruning will help keep your landscape looking good. I'm Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says don't let the fear of bad pruning keep you from trying it. The more experience you gain, the better you will get at it. In our feature segment today, not one but 2 stories for you. We'll have highlights of the 2011 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions in Jackson, Mississippi. Our second feature concerns tree planting. Lamar County is just one of many Mississippi counties promoting the use of native trees. It's even getting students excited about it. And time now for the markets with Leighton, and cotton prices have slipped this week.
That's right, Amy, they have, and in the markets, analysts say that it's been a week of correction in cotton. Dr. O.A. Cleveland will have some comments for us. U.S. catfish prices move up in January. And some economists feel the U.S. dollar may stay weak, which could support raw commodities. Cotton prices took a downswing this week in heavy selling. As we enter the month of March, will this market resume a positive trend? MSU Ag Economics Professor Emeritus Dr. O.A. Cleveland shared some thoughts on cotton's fundamentals with me. O.A., why are we seeing this correction in the cotton sector right now?
Well, I think, Leighton, now that we have started the March delivery period literally this week, and we are discovering that we will have enough certificated stocks to flow through the delivery process, I think the market was looking to back off a little bit. It's been so strong now for so long, and after getting up to $2.11, $2.12, and I think probably more than anything else what it says is that the market is finally rationing the available supplies. We are extremely short supply-wise, and I think the coming year is not going to anywhere near satisfy that evidence. December 2011 still hanging in the dollar and teens, but still pushing $1.20. So, but it's just the supply situation that we have with respect to certificated stocks being enough to satisfy this delivery, plus the overwhelming idea that the price has rationed supply.
So really, again, the fundamentals haven't changed, but you would expect an uptrend to pick up again, or what are we going to see maybe in the next week or two?
Well, what I think probably as we move through this March delivery period, we've just started, but we'll be in that process for another 3 weeks, literally. You know, we could see some wild swings in March. May would the May futures probably will not be that wild, but after March, after that delivery process is totally completed around the middle of March, then we could see May beginning to try to make another run to the $2 level. I don't know that we can do that, but the market is certainly telling us that it is going to stay high. It's not going to fall out of bed. We may see a 20–25% correction. We've actually been talking about the market coming down 30 to even 40 cents ever since it's been about $1.80. So it got to $2.10, $2.11 before we started before it started to back off. So I think probably the market is very solid where it is. December is very solid. We'll see a little bit more to the upside now that we clear out this March situation.
Here's our final trivia quiz for the month of February. You might say it concerns the future of agriculture. How many U.S. college students are majoring in agriculture or ag-related fields? Your choices are 2%, 3.7%, 8.1%, or 16%. I'll have the answer coming up.
We're going to pause now for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the second half of the markets. Leighton Spann reports catfish prices are up due to a lack of fish. In the feature segment today, 2 news stories for you. More than $250,000 were bid at this year's Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. And see how native trees are improving landscapes and education in Lamar County.
Hi, I'm Leighton Spann, host of Farm Week. We want to make you aware of Farm Week's schedule beginning March 5th. Farm Week will not be in its regular Saturday time slot for the first 3 Saturdays of March. During that time, you can still watch Farm Week on Monday mornings at 6 a.m. or you can see the streaming video at our website, farmweek.msucares.com. Saturday broadcast will return the last Saturday of March after MPB fundraising ends.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The Hinds County Community College Bull Test Sale and the Mississippi Beef Cattle Improvement Association Bull Sale takes place on Thursday, March 3rd at noon. The location is the Hinds Bull Sale Facility south of Highway 18 at Raymond. More than 51 Angus, Charolais, and Hereford bulls from 11 operations will be offered. Remote bidding sites will be available in Batesville and Verona. We'll have a link to the online catalog on our Farm Week calendar. The 21st Annual Greenhouse Tomato Growers Short Course is set for Tuesday and Wednesday, March 8th and 9th. It will be held at the Eagle Ridge Conference Center in Raymond, Mississippi. Registration is $150 at the door. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this Farm Week snapshot.
The government released its monthly snapshot of the catfish industry this past week, and prices are still up. The average pondbank price being paid to U.S. producers in January was 93 cents per pound. That is 16 cents per pound above 1 year ago at the same time. Farm sales total just a hair over 35 million pounds round weight. That is a decrease of 12% from a year ago. Processor sales, meanwhile, were just over 18 million pounds in January. That is a drop of 6% from January 2010. Just ahead of a brand new feature story, let's check out the trivia answer this week for you. The correct choice is B, 3.7%. This information from the National Council of Farmer Cooperatives. In the feature segment today, not one, but two new feature stories for you. Our first story is about helping people to see the forest and the trees in it. I'm talking about native trees. Because they are common, we don't always see them, much less think about planting them. In Lamar County, Mississippi, and many others, there's a growing emphasis in getting urban homeowners and other landowners to plant native trees. The virtues of native trees are even being learned by the young. Farm Week's Artist Ford reports.
Who can tell me some parts of the tree? What part of the tree is like a straw that just sucks things up out of the ground?
Patty Permenter's second grade class has its own red maple tree on the playground at Oak Grove Lower Elementary School. Permenter's pride was planted in 2009. The board-certified teacher says her students take care of the tree, giving them a sense of ownership that a picture in a book could never provide.
We have worked with a lot of different agencies to get science materials for the children, and one of the best projects that we've been involved in is the Teaching Tree Project, and this has given our students an opportunity to learn about trees and to plant a tree, to have a tree that's their own for them to take care of. We integrate this in our math activities. We measure the tree, we chart its growth, we draw pictures for art.
Permenter students are benefiting from the Teaching Trees project started in 2009. 4 new elementary schools were completed that year in Lamar County to deal with its explosive population growth. The county's close proximity to Hattiesburg caused it to grow 41% from 2000 to 2010.
New schools need landscaping. That presented an opportunity to plant native trees and introduce the students to them.
The Teaching Trees project was spearheaded by the Lamar County Soil and Water Conservation District. In addition to other native trees, 5 Mississippi natives were planted in a small grove at each new school: the southern magnolia, ball cypress, longleaf pine, red maple, and a nuttall oak.
And the teachers, when they talk about trees and forestry to the elementary students, they can walk outside and have an outdoor classroom environment and talk about trees that are native to our state.
Kids today spend a lot of time in front of the TV, you know, watching video games, playing video games, watching TV. When you have trees in a setting where they can get to it and touch it every day, it makes a difference in their learning and taking things in.
Can you hold the dirt and put the whole thing down in there?
Exposing urban children to hands-on conservation education is a high priority for the Lamar County Board of Supervisors.
Today, with this rapid growth, we need it more. They're working with our children in the schools, these flower gardens. A lot of times this is probably the only time some of these children get this. Naturally, the more natural trees we get out from this area, that produces your oxygen, you purify your water. So they're very important in different ways.
We have great help from the Board of Supervisors and a lot of sister agencies, partnerships, NRCS and Extension Service, Forestry Commission, and many others, you know, Soil and Water Conservation Commission. We all work together to introduce conservation education to the county because we just think that's the right thing to do.
Many Mississippi soil and water conservation districts are concentrating on getting landowners to consider the advantages of native trees. First, they are adapted to Mississippi's soils and climate. Native trees require less maintenance, and the local wildlife prefer them. In the winter, it can be hard to imagine, but some native trees, like the Nuttall oak, have beautiful fall foliage and can produce acorns for wildlife food. Another wildlife food source is the mulberry, which produces fruit that can be used for making pies and jam.
Then, like you say, we have a whole wide variety of large trees, of medium-sized trees, of small trees, some of which are very showy in spring, some of which are not, but we have a wide variety of species to choose from. Just in the oaks, for example, we have about 40 different oaks, native oaks in Mississippi. So we have a wide variety to choose from.
Extension Forestry Professor Glenn Hughes says when choosing a native tree, ask yourself a few questions. How big is the space where the tree will go? Small saplings can grow into big problems later. What is the soil type, and is the area predominantly wet or dry? Do you want an evergreen or a tree whose leaves will turn color and drop in the fall? What about a bloomer like the parsley hawthorn or the river birch with its attractive bark? Whatever one you choose, it should be transplanted generally in the December through February time period in Mississippi.
Generally, the best time to plant a tree is when it's dormant, when it's not growing. So, and that's why a lot of tree planting is done in winter. Now, that being said, if you get a tree that's grown in a container, that widens your window, and so you can plant, you know, well into the growing season.
Don't assume, however, that native trees can be transplanted anywhere and forgotten. Regardless of whether you plant a bare root or container-grown seedling, you want to keep it watered during its early years so it can establish a root system. Patty Permenter says the rewards are worth the effort. Her class tree provides a real-world experience that allows her to introduce other science subjects.
They really start caring about nature more, and it's not, even though we're just concentrating on the tree, they may look more closely at nature, whether we're looking at clouds or whether we're looking at insects, but it just opens a lot of doors for them, and that science door that we want to get open, and we want them to care about our world.
From Oak Grove, Mississippi, I'm Artis Ford reporting.
And if you're interested in watching this story again, you can see it on our Farm Week website, farmweek.msucares.com. You'll also find links where you can get in touch with agencies that can help you find native trees. And we'll also have some general information from the MSU Extension Service on picking native trees. And Amy, Artis Ford tells us that you can get in touch with any public agencies such as the MSU Extension Service, the Forestry Commission in Mississippi, or the County Soil and Water Conservation Districts. And many of the districts even have native tree giveaways in early February. And another note, the MSU Crosby Arboretum at Picayune, they have native plant sales every 3 months. So that's another opportunity. And the biology department at University of Southern Mississippi even hosts a native plant sale there. So that's twice a year. So really the opportunities are there, and there are plenty of people willing to help.
Well, that's good to know.
Well, time now for our second feature story this week on Farm Week. Amy Taylor is here to take us to Jackson, and she has highlights of the February 10th Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. Amy?
That's right, Leighton. Mother Nature provided quite a unique experience for those involved in this year's sale, but dangerous weather conditions were no match for livestock buyers, families, and supporters of the big sale. The prestigious event still collected more than $250,000 in sales and awarded scholarships to deserving livestock exhibitors. 4-H and FFA exhibitors at the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions found that qualifying for the big sale would not be the only challenge they faced. But despite dangerous weather conditions, the sale must go on. Come rain, snow, sleet, or hail, the week after the Dixie National Junior Roundup, one thing is certain: the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions is going to happen. Bitter cold temperatures, snow, rain, and ice were potential threats to the health of beloved livestock. In addition, Mississippi State University Extension livestock specialist Dean Josan says travel was a huge issue for anyone scheduled to be at the Dixie National.
Mother Nature caused a few problems with us at Dixie National this year. We've had a couple of periods of snow and ice. Some of our main challenges have been getting our judges in. The airlines have been sort of quick to cancel a lot of flights, and with our judges coming in from all over the country, we've had some issues getting them in.
Josan was glad that in spite of the obstacles, the sale brought a packed house with buyers, families, and supporters prepared to brave the cold. Premier Exhibitor Scholarship recipient Michael Buckley says extra precautions were taken to protect the livestock.
We had to put heat lamps on the hogs to make sure that they didn't get too cold, because if they get too cold, they'll start to lose weight, and that's not very good. This is the first year they've allowed us to do that in the barns because of fire hazards.
It may have been cold outside, but the sale ring was a hotbed of activity. Sale of Champions committee member and ringman Harry Dendy talks about being in the middle of the excitement.
We have 3 ringmen, and they each have a particular part of the audience that they work. And you have to watch for bids, you have to watch for raised hands, you have to be able to tell when somebody's bidding or when they're waving at somebody across the ring. You just have to kind of be clued into what's going on. You're so hyped up and so full of adrenaline, you don't get exhausted. Probably the biggest problem I have usually about 2/3 of the way through the sale, I start losing my voice.
Dendy says he's glad to have been involved in livestock as a young person.
I was active in 4-H and FFA. I had livestock projects. Fortunately, and when I got out in the job market, the career that I chose, which was in farm credit, of course, had the livestock part of the farm credit system.
In addition, Dendy claims his background helps him relate to exhibitors as he watches them grow. The sales total at this year's Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions was about $257,000. That figure includes a total of over $92,000 for the steers, $84,000 for the hogs, $55,000 for the lambs, and $25,000 for the goats. 5 premier livestock exhibitors received scholarships of $2,000 apiece. Academic scholarships of $1,500 were awarded to 25 high school seniors, and 3 Supreme Animal exhibitors received $1,000 each. Harry Dendy says those who wish to support the sale but are unable to buy an animal can contribute to the scholarship fund. One of the highlights at the sale was the parting message from Marcia Barber, who spoke about her experience as a buyer. This is her last year to attend as First Lady, but she hopes to be back. Michael Buckley describes how showing livestock has helped shape his future.
I've learned just responsibility and taking care of my animals. I get up at about 5:30 every morning and go feed my hogs and my cattle. I have to walk my cattle daily. I've had the opportunity to go to Mississippi State and learn how to artificial inseminate cattle, so that's something that I've learned at a real young age and that I'm getting better and better at as I go along and practice more.
Buckley says he aspires to become a veterinarian. Academic scholarship recipient Libby Durst talks about what she learned from her livestock project.
I learned how to be patient with the animals. When you're trying to get a cow to set its feet up just right for you, that's hard. They don't want to stand still all the time, and you can't get mad at them because they don't know what they're doing. So you have to be really patient, and also it keeps me in check of myself and what I'm doing and what example I'm putting out there for the younger people, because they're looking up to us, and you can tell when they walk through the barn and look at you and want to talk to you that they really do want to know you and that you're important to them. So you really have to be a good example for the younger kids.
Durst says showing livestock also helped her decide on a career path.
I really want to pick a career that allows me to be involved in agribusiness because it's so important to our state. And I think that's important for young people to know, is just what agriculture does for our state and how they can be more active in it.
Durst says her plans could lead to a future as a state representative for agriculture. Lauren DeMuth of Raymond talks about how showing livestock is a great family project.
We get to spend time with our father, and he loves doing livestock stuff, so that's how we stay close with him. My daddy buys the lambs and buys the feed and medicine, and my mom supports us and the whole thing, so we really couldn't do it without them.
DeMuth says winning Reserve Grand Champion was just one of the many rewards in her project. She's taken away life skills like the value of sportsmanship and helping others.
One of my friends has like 8 lambs, and she gets some in the champion drive, then she needs somebody to help her show, and so I'll help her It's a great way to meet new people, different people from different parts of the state.
Exhibitors say the most important life lessons involve learning from each other through teamwork and sportsmanship. Dean Josan says he's proud of the young people's exceptional conduct.
The exhibitors have been very respectful of the judges and our workers that have been here attending the shows and putting on the shows. It's always nice to see them come up to thank the people that are working the gates, working the check-in gates, and especially to thank the judge.
Those involved in the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions say the leadership and teamwork they learned helped them survive the threatening conditions of Mother Nature this year. From Jackson, Mississippi, I'm Amy Taylor reporting. You can watch this story again on our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com. We'll have links and telephone numbers there for you to find out more about junior livestock shows in Mississippi.
All right, thank you a lot, Amy. Well, we're at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, using robots to milk cows.
And it sounds crazy at first, but it may put less stress on the cows and the dairymen. The robots always show up for work on time, and the cows can milk themselves any time they want.
And in Southern Gardening, we'll have a glimpse of spring and some red flowers to go along with it. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Amy Taylor. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.